So, good morning and welcome to the latest in our In Conversation With series. I'm Sarah Austin and I'm the founder of the Really Helpful Club. Now, what we've been doing in this series is shining the spotlight on various different entrepreneurs, business owners, leading experts in their field. And we've talked to so many different entrepreneurs. I think this is our 15th we've done in the series so far. And they've each shared with us their story. They've each talked about the inspiration for their business. And they've also talked about what they've learnt along the way, shared some insights and so forth. And it's just been fascinating to hear from them. Now, this morning, I'm going to be joined by Jules Anderson. The name of her business is Feel Glorious. So can't wait to hear for the inspiration behind that. Jules is a health and wellbeing and nutrition specialist, and she helps women who are over 40 and feel the best that they can so they can maximize and make the most of their lives. Now, great to be joined by Jules, who's going to be with us in a sec. Here you are. Good morning. How are you?
Hello.
Looking beautifully sunny. And are those some fresh tulips in front of you?
Oh yes, I know. I love to have some flowers. Just, the sun's out, the flowers are out. It's lovely. Yeah.
Beautiful. It's a lovely spring, summer morning. And before we know it, we're already April. But before we know it, we're going to be sort of halfway through the year. So lovely to see flowers in the background. Now, Jules, I was just explaining just before you came on that you are a health and wellbeing nutrition specialist, and you help women over 40 to feel their best and so forth. I also mentioned the name of your business, which is Feel Glorious. I think it's one of the best names I've ever come across. And so what I wanted to begin with was to just shine a spotlight on you. What was the motivation for Feel Glorious? What was the inspiration behind it?
Well, I always felt women have had a kind of a lifelong kind of tricky relationship with food. And I come across clients all the time that say, I've been struggling with this my whole life. And I've always felt that there's lots of programs out there that are very clinical. They're sort of detoxy and they're full of the science behind it, which is really important to me. I've got a science background, but they're missing the component of joy. And, people say, I can't eat the foods I love anymore. And it just makes everyone feel worse. And so I just thought Feel Glorious was all about the way I want clients to feel. And I want women to feel about what they're eating. When they're eating stuff, enjoy it. Don't feel like food's the devil. We can find ways of eating things that we love and still being healthy and enjoying it. So it's all about that element of kind of, sparkle and joy in your life as well.
If it's such an interesting point you make, because I think, I'm not just going to narrow this down to women in some ways, but everybody has tried a diet at some point in their life. We've all deprived ourselves of something, and it sort of feels rather virtuous to start with. And then it doesn't tend to last because it is, as you say, no fun. And actually, you like the thrill of losing the weight or the thrill of feeling a bit better. But actually, if there's no sort of endurance and duration to it, it can't last. It can't have a long-lasting appeal for the rest of your life. So I think you're homing in on something really interesting and that kind of gets to the core of what we all actually really want.
Well, that's exactly it. And there's so many programs out there, whether you're looking on TV or you look at these sort of, get really healthy in a month, or drop a stone in a month, or whatever the program might be. And they promise lots of transformation. And what they don't say, and there's lots of great pictures of befores and afters, but they don't say that actually to get there is really hard. And that's fine because commitment and discipline are important. But if it's not sustainable, and I find over and over again, people have come to me and they've all done programs before, very well intentioned, because, maybe they've got diabetes and they need to get their, get their blood counts to the right levels and they're well intentioned. But if they're not sustainable, so, all you need is to have an argument with your boss or a bad day at work, or you're going out to celebrate a friend's birthday and you want to go out and party. And you don't want to be the person that turns, I've been with those people that turn up with their little bags of their own food and say, well, I can't,
Yes.
do that. and sparkling water, please. It's like, you don't want to be that person, you know,
Yeah.
because they're having no fun, and then people around them are having no fun either. So you need to find a way of balancing it. You know, we're real people. We're not, you know, that you see these sort of very purist people out there following, and there are a few of them that will follow very purist regimes, but most of us aren't like that. You know, a sunny day comes up and we want to be able to go out and have a glass of wine with a friend and celebrate that we're allowed to again. Or, you know, we want to be able to say, look, we're having a really off day today. I just need a day where I can sit on the sofa and eat something that feels a bit more comforting and watch a bit of Netflix all afternoon, and be okay with that without then feeling we can become, and women especially, and we become a bit self-flagellating. It's like, oh, I can't, I've got no willpower, I can't do it anymore, I've failed. And then we feel like a failure. And because mindset's really important, we start telling ourselves we're a failure, we feel like a failure, and then we're destined to fail every time we try something else. So we kind of have to break it's a mindset thing as much as a food thing. And we've demonized food for too long. And I think it's sort of time to dispel that and move into a different way of thinking about it and enjoying it.
Really good point you made. And as I was saying before you came on, I think you're my 15th interviewee since we started this series. And I think that there's some real similarities that are built. And one of them is that sense of, it doesn't matter what sector, what industry, you know, what business you're operating in, you need to know how to bring joy to your customer. You need to know how to bring joy to your client, because then there is some real duration to it, but actually it's a really well thought through program. Now we've got quite a few people joined us, so thank you very much for joining us. Jules, as many of you will know, is a health and wellbeing nutrition specialist. She's been talking to us about the inspiration behind her business, Feel Glorious. Now, if you've got any questions, please do pop them into the comments box, or if any of you have taken part in her program, please feel free to share some comments as well, because I know you have helped so many women, Jules, and so you have a very big fan club out there. So talk to us about, you know, that was the inspiration, but how has the business evolved, and how has the coaching program evolved since you first launched?
Well, it's been a long journey, because I started the business 10 years ago, and I trained in integrative nutrition, which is not just about the food. Is definitely at the center of what I do and how I help, but it's very much about taking your whole life into account. So, you know, people can be eating the healthiest food and following a really great diet, but if they're really stressed, they're kind of pouring their money down the drain. You can be buying all these expensive supplements, but if your gut health's not right because you're stressed, then again, you're just wasting your money on all these supplements because you're not absorbing it. So that was really where I started. And again, bringing in that emotional component rather than just going down a pure nutritionist path. So initially, I started when my son was really little, and I had to do it. I was a single parent, so I was having to do it part-time with my old career, freelancing, and trying to balance building up a small new business with, you know, paying the bills and using that to kind of be the main money on the table, which was good because I didn't want to force myself to be something that I wasn't too quickly. And at the time, lots of people were saying you have to be a weight loss coach because that's where the money is. And that's never where my heart's been. It's always been about joy, and always been about health and joy, and enjoy your food. So I let it evolve for a number of years. And again, whilst my son was small, I had to balance. That was really challenging, balancing building up a business, because, you know, it's very insecure in terms of I'd get flurries of clients and then there'd be nothing, and then I'd get really busy on my other projects and then I'd be quiet again. So I got to the point where I did it part-time for a while, and I've studied health and nutrition my entire life, so it was always going to be a business in that. So I've got lots of other modalities that I've studied over the years, you know, yoga and acupuncture and all sorts of other naturopathy that I sort of bring in to what I do. But it wasn't until 3 or 4 years ago when I finally got to the point where I just thought, I'm being stretched in a million directions. I can't really consolidate what I'm doing in my business. I need to get to a point where, and you have to sort of energetically decide to go, right, this is my primary business and everything else has to go on the back burner. So that was a real kind of turning point. So the business really started to evolve and I went, okay, I need to make this my primary business. I've got to start being more of a business person rather than, great, you know, I'm a health and nutrition expert, but that's one thing, but you have to be a business person as well. So I've been developing both building up a more digital product and online delivery because I'd started to go in and see a lot more corporates. So I was doing talks and workshops and lunch and learns and things like that, and then to groups, to other groups, which was great. But when they then said, how can you provide us with more? I was a little bit stumped because there wasn't really enough of me to then go, well, I'll give one-on-one consultations to all your staff because I couldn't do that. So from that, I thought I need to build something that's more scalable. So started to build an online program. In the meantime, I was taken on as an associate delivering a program to a big corporate in Canada. So I worked with about 40 clients over there through a digital platform. So it really helped me hone what I was doing in my own programs and take lots of learning from, it was using a different digital platform. So I learned a lot about what worked in that platform for my clients and what wasn't working. And then it really helped in develop my own. So over the last few years, I've been developing that and then also training in functional medicine. So what that allows me to do is go deeper with clients into some of those kind of long-standing nagging issues that people have been living with for years. You know, often I get people coming in going, you know, I've had urinary tract infections over and over and over again, and the GPs keep giving me antibiotics. It solves it in the short term, but it doesn't, I keep getting them back. And there's no solution other than just going back to the GP, getting more antibiotics.
Of course, yeah.
But what that happens is you do that often enough, and then the secondary effects of too many antibiotics. So they start getting worse. So what the functional medicine approach allows me to do is to go upstream a little bit from the symptoms and look at actually, okay, we can treat the infection, but actually what's behind that? What's causing that? What kind of imbalance in your body is there that's bringing that about? Because our bodies are really intelligent. They know what to do. And our bodies are just keeping us safe from something. So you've got to work out what the body's trying to do in response to an imbalance and put that right. So the way my business has evolved now is that my one-on-one clients tend to be more focused on those deeper seated issues. And then for clients that have got the more common issues, and I did, again, a couple of years ago, I decided to really niche down to look at women in their, from 40 upwards. So, because they were a client I was commonly, were being attracted to me. And I just, you know, you start to understand all the issues more. And there was so many common threads of, it's not just that I'm putting on weight and I can't shift it anymore. And I'm a bit, you know, my best jeans don't fit me. It was, you know, I'm anxious. I'm getting really, you know, anxiety and depression, and I can't sleep, and I'm getting these mad, crazy mood swings, and you know, I'm getting, you know, energy. I've never got any energy, or there's kind of bursts of energy and then slumps, and so there were all these common things happening to women in their 40s that I sort of focused both what I was studying and because I'm reading books and the newest stuff coming out all the time, and so looking at all those common threads that people start to find that come up in their 40s, and the old ways of dealing with them. Our bodies are different, you know, when we're younger, and the ways that we used to address problems when we were feeling a bit tired, or we were feeling a bit, you know, if our skin was breaking out or we were putting on a bit of weight, they either don't work anymore, or our lives are so different that, you know, back then, after work, you could go to a yoga class or the gym and do a workout. And you were more inclined to go, well, I'll buy myself all this healthy food and make myself meals. But once you get into your 40s, firstly, you're coming home at 6 o'clock because you've kids to feed. And secondly, you don't want to be preparing yourself all these purist salads and smoothies when you've got a big meal to make for the family. So you've got to be able to incorporate the changes into the lives we lead now, which are different to the lives we led 10 years ago or 20 years ago. And it's
Absolutely.
not, and that's fine. I love the way I live now, but I need a different approach to being healthy.
It's totally true, isn't it? It's reflecting that, as people, but obviously here we're really talking about women, that we are going through chapters in our lives. And it's recognizing those sort of punctuation marks where we do need a different approach. And someone like you helping us to navigate that, I think is really important. Now, let me just interrupt you with a couple of comments because there's some really nice stuff coming here. This has come from one of your clients. She says, I did the Feel Fabulous After 40 last year, and the course was excellent. So anyone that's thinking of going on this, then, what better than this? Helped develop new ways of incorporating good health into my life, and I'm feeling fabulous. Who doesn't want to feel fabulous? Thoroughly recommend. So that is absolutely endorsing some of the stuff that you've been saying. Now, I just want to read this question to you before it goes off my screen. This is a great one. Do you ever use NLP techniques to help reframe thinking towards image and food?
Do you know, that's a really brilliant question, and mindset is absolutely critical in the way I approach the work I do with my clients and with my groups. And some of, I'm not a trained NLP practitioner, but there's definitely the way that we talk to each other. Words are really, really powerful. And I touched on it a bit when I was talking about when we think of ourselves as, oh, I failed, I've fallen off the wagon, oh, I'm a failure. The one thing I get all the time from clients, I've got no willpower. And so there's even just reframing the words that we use. And again, there's all these, with NLP, they talk about, the words that we use, the images that we have in our mind, and the feelings that we generate. So in a way, that's all embedded in what I do, because it's all about generating those feelings of joy and positivity and choosing foods that you love primarily. Doesn't mean eating the Krispy Kreme donut, but it means that if you're going to have something sweet, at least find something that you love and enjoy it. So I definitely weave all those visual and kinesthetic is the way they refer to it in NLP, which is the way you feel about things.
Yes.
And then the language the way you talk, and also the physiology of your body. People think, oh, I'll feel good about my body when I'm thinner, or when I'm more healthy, or when my gut doesn't ache and I'm not bloated. But actually the way we use our body as well is really critical in how we feel about ourselves. And I talk to, particularly with the sort of the newer mums, the mums of sort of younger children, the greasy ponytail concept, that, you get up, you've got young kids, you just get up in the morning, you throw something on, you still got your pajamas on, you throw your hair up in a ponytail, you don't bother washing it, you don't put your makeup on. When you're in that state, you are far more likely to just collapse on the sofa with a big old packet of biscuits and wolf the whole lot down at once, because you've not got a physiology of taking care of yourself. Whereas even if you just get up in the morning, have a quick shower, you brush your hair, put some lipstick on, and put a nice top on, then it makes you feel different about yourself, and you're far more likely then to go, do you know what, I'm going to make myself something nice and a bit healthier to eat. It sounds a really weird thing to do, but I've seen with countless clients that this makes a difference to the way they approach food. So, without giving the sort of tags on things, again, because I sort of studied all these things over sort of probably 40 years, because I read all the books, and it's sort of, all of that's really woven in. And mindset is absolutely in my program. I've got a 6-week program, which is the one that the person commented about. Thank you very much, by the way, whoever that was. We do a module on each of the key things, like stress and gut health and sugar, managing your blood sugar and your weight loss and metabolism. But one module is all about habits and mindset. Because without that, And often people go, oh, why can't we go into the fat burning module straight away? Because they want to lose weight, And it's like, no, because if you go into it with the wrong mindset,
Yes.
you'll just do what you've always done. You'll follow the program, you'll lose the weight, or your gut will feel better, or whatever it is you've gone in to do. But you'll fall off the wagon again because you haven't changed your mindset, you haven't changed your habits. And it's not a difficult thing to do. You just need a little bit of commitment to it. It's
Absolutely.
just like, you go to the gym, you're not gonna be buffed up after your first session. You need to just practice, and you'll slowly find that, just as your muscles start to get a bit more defined and you can lift more weights after a while and run for a bit longer, you'll it's the same with your mind. You just strengthen that, the mindset and the habits.
Very good point. Thank you. Now, another question, slightly tangential to that, and I think also really interesting because there was a report, I think, in the Times yesterday about this. Can stress and lack of sleep be contributing factors in holding on to body fat?
Absolutely, without a doubt, yes. They are really, really fundamental. And again, this is why I never went down the pure nutrition path, that I've gone with the integrative health and nutrition coaching, because what stress does is it shuts down everything else in your body that's not needed for survival. This is the body's evolutionary wisdom, because we would have died out as a species if we hadn't had it. The stress response is there to help us run away from tigers. So it's meant to be it's a short burst, and it's about getting blood into your muscles. It's about you getting alert. All the energy goes into you being alert and having enough blood in your and glucose into your muscles to be able to head for the hills really fast. And then that response is supposed to go off as soon as you're safe. But what we do now is that stress response is turned on all the time. Your kids are yelling, you're late for work, someone cuts you up in traffic, all those little tiny things. Or you watch the news and they've got some new variant of COVID that's now, that's all of those little stresses.
Well, it is. It's a sort of confluence of factors and a global pandemic thrown in just for good measure to just the underlying stress levels are enormous. And again, with women bearing a huge brunt of that, it's no surprise that we have to tolerate a huge amount. So back to you as a business owner. We've talked a little bit about the inspiration, the evolution. Now, what about the joy and the rewarding part, and the advice that you would give to anyone thinking about starting a business?
Well, for me, the reward, I mean, that's so easy. It's the joy that I get from my clients. I get comments. I've worked recently with someone who was post breast cancer, and she needed to get all her estrogen levels down and low, and it meant she needs a BMI low, because estrogen, if you're overweight, you're more likely to have problems with excess estrogen, and she needed to get all that down. And when you get emails saying, I've just come back and they've done all my blood testing she was post chemo, and they'd done all these testing and all her markers were in the safe zone. And she was like, I'm just crying. I can't believe it. I can get my life back. This feels amazing. And, it makes you really choked up.
Of course
and
it does.
I get this kind of thing all the time. It's like, you've given me my life back. There's a brilliant quote about, and I might get it slightly wrong, but it's basically, someone who has their health has 1,000 dreams. Someone who doesn't have their health has only one. And that's really true, because if you're not got your health, it's all that you can think of.
Yes.
I'm exhausted, or I'm worried, or maybe the cancer will come back, or whatever it might be. And it doesn't have to be something as serious as having had cancer. But if you're just exhausted every single day, the quality of your life is through the floor. You don't want to go out and be with your mates. You can't enjoy anything. So yeah, I mean, absolutely. For me, the motivation is when clients are just, or they're emailing me going, oh my goodness, I've suddenly, I had a client who suddenly, she'd been trying to cut out, she'd had such a sweet tooth, she'd been trying to cut out sugar. I know all these things are loaded with sugar and I can't stop them. And we just gradually shifted what she was eating. She emailed me one day, she goes, oh, just been out for a big breakfast with my boyfriend and I couldn't eat the baked beans because they were too sweet.
Yes.
And she's like, all my life I've known baked beans have sugar in them and I've known I shouldn't have too many of them, but I've just got to that point out of nowhere where I just don't want to eat them anymore.
But that's brilliant. And I remember someone, you talk about quotes. I remember someone saying to me once, is actually, I envy nothing of people except those that have good health.
Yeah.
And actually it is something that you can take control of to a degree.
Yeah.
And, but it's true, actually it is, to have good health, it has to be one of the most important things of all.
Yeah. Because if you don't, then everything else suffers. And particularly, for anyone running a business, it's so important.
And what about the challenging side of running a business?
For me, the main issues for me were initially the balance of growing a business. And again, I was a single parent. So the balance of growing a business and staying true to what you wanted to do, not just going for where the sort of more ready money is, which again, as I was saying, a few business coaches even had advised me to take that route. And I didn't want to do that. So that was challenging. And having that balance of, I need to bring the money in doing something else, but this needs to be my priority. So that was definitely challenging, but it does take, and again, it's a mindset thing, because what changed for me was that internal shift when I went, I'm fed up making money for other people. I want to make this, I want the work I put in to be developing my own business. And that mindset shift really made a difference. The other main challenge really is just doing it on your own. Partly from a practical point of view, when you've worked in any kind of organisation, whether big or small, there's always someone to go, can you just check over whether that feels right to you? Or I've had this response from somebody, am I being a bit mad? Can you check something? Or what do you think of this concept? Or even things like, I can't get my email to synchronize with my website, and you've got some techie team person can come and sort it out for you. So you miss all those practical support things, but also just having somebody around. So for me, I network a lot, and I've got lots of really supportive, when you're working, like lots of my friends didn't have their own businesses, so they don't get it. They kind of thought I was a bit weird and it was a bit stupid, I think, deep down. It's like, why would you do that? Why would you stop your regular salary and your good job that you've had, you do really well? So you need to be around people who are doing the same thing as you. People who are on their way, as well as, and in the same position, as well as people who've got a bit further, so that, they can help advise, because they're people who've been where you've been, so that you're not alone with it. And that never changes, however long you've been in business, you still need that.
Well, it's a lonely old business, isn't it? Running our own business. And I think, which again, it sort of dovetails very nicely to what we do at Really Help the Club, is we help to provide that support network for people like you and for others who are looking for not just that business support, but that emotional support and that literal support as well, which, as you say, when you go from a corporate environment to your own solopreneur environment, it is a very tough one. Everyone tends to focus on the slightly glamorous side of, I run my own business, but actually it's a pretty tough old world out there as well, and quite lonely, as you say, and particularly the year that we've just gone through, where you've been denied the opportunity to literally, see people in person.
Yes. Yeah, and it's really important, and also not to be okay with asking for help. I was always a bit too, I don't want anyone to think I'm really struggling to get this going. I want everyone to see me as initially when I first started, you want people to see you as this professional, capable, in control person. But actually the reality is it's better just to be really real and, and reach out. And when there's things that you don't know or don't understand or need some support with, whether it's a technical issue or something to do with your again, because I'm constantly studying, and I'm still studying now, when there's something that comes up with somebody that I want to double check with, I've got a huge community of people I can talk to about anything, any aspect of my business. And I use that more now. I ask for help more. I ask for just a second opinion. Do you think that's a good thing to do? And that's nice, because then people reach out and ask you for the same, and you realize we're all in the same boat, and we're all, we're all doing the same thing.
We're all navigating this, together. And so, look, there's so much we could talk to you about. I hope you'll come back and we can do another podcast or an interview like this again. But my last question for you is to very fortuitously, we've got an event with you. It's a workshop next week, 28th of April, 10:30 online. So for anyone that's watching this or can share this onward and forward to their friends, this is a great opportunity to really tap into Jules and her advice, and you can see her enormous depth of knowledge and experience as well. It's called, this is one of my favourite titles for one of our events, 40-something Fabulous or Frazzled. And so tell us, that, just in a nutshell, what anyone can expect from next week's event.
Well, again, following on from a lot of what I've said, I think when we reach our 40s, we need a different approach. And too many of us are thinking we're trying what we used to do and it's not working. We think it's our fault, and it's not. Or we think we haven't got willpower, and it's not about willpower. So what I want to do in this is start to just dispel a few of the myths. There's an awful lot in the media that we hear so frequently that we've come to accept as true. And there's an awful lot of things that will be quite surprising to people that we think are just normal, natural truths, and actually they're not. So I want to then take those and turn around and just start to give people just a bit of a framework for the different approach that you can take when you're over 40 to just help to build better health, and do it in a way that fits into your life. I will talk to people about, it's people's real lives, not their Instagram lives. It's not the kind of the perfect, I'm here with my nice background and my flowers, but if I move the camera that way, you'll see my messy old bookshelf this week.
Put it this way, I'm not going to move anywhere around my house.
So I want to just bring some sort of hints and tips for, it's like real women with real lives. They're messy. Life throws us curveballs. We can't avoid that. It's about finding ways to navigate that, and healthy ways to live and to eat, and to, be as healthy as we can possibly be. I want to be that sort of 98-year-old dancing on the dance floor when, and be able to do that when I'm older. And I want to be able to live, not feel like the second half of life is like a pale imitation of the first. Like, again, I've worked with women who feel like, oh, my best days are over. You think of their youth as the kind of, that was all my great life. And actually, from 40 plus, it's all a bit of a grind and a downhill slide. It's like, let's stop talking about the downhill slide. Yeah. It doesn't have to be that way.
If you talk about it like that, the chances are you'll grow into that. So it's much better. It comes back to your mindset thing again, is actually...
Well, you see what you look for. If you say look for the colour blue, all you're going to see is the colour blue, colour blue, colour blue, Or even if you say don't look for the colour blue, your mind has still got blue in it, and try it, and you'll still only see blue. So, it's important to focus on all the things that we can do. We can't, I'm not in denial, our bodies change and we do get old. Our bodies are changing as we age, but there's so many more things that we can do that don't need to be, all anti-aging, and even, I don't even want to think about age. It's about enjoying your life. I talk about celebrating your life rather than counting your years.
Well, I think that is a great note to end on. And I can't wait for next week. I hope that many of you who have joined us today will be able to join us next week. And even if you can't make it on the day, if you book in, you'll get a recording as well. We're going to share this to IGTV. So please go and watch it in full if you only managed to join us halfway through. Thank you so much to everybody for joining. Thank you for your lovely comments and feedback, and also for your questions as well. Jules, thank you so much. I mean, as ever, I've been scribbling down notes. You are a joy to talk to. I mean, just so much wisdom, so much knowledge, and so much experience. But I mean, I guess if my summary as a business owner, having heard you talk about your journey, you as a integrative health coach, is look after your health, and if you burn out, then so will your business. So on that note, thank you so much. I'm going to leave you there, and we're going to share this on IGTV. Thanks so much, Jules.
Thanks very much. It's been a pleasure.
No.
Thank you.
Bye bye.